Hello and welcome back to the Darth Magog channel. I'm your host, the Dark Lord of the Apostates, Darth Magog. Jehovah's Witnesses live in a highly insular environment. Most of their teachings and doctrine centers around the witnesses and the Watchtower being the center of the universe, the only true Christians, and of course, God's modern chosen people. But when someone leaves the religion, they can easily find themselves in a state of shock when they discover that the hours upon hours of research, books, and articles may have painted the outside world a little differently than they expected. So today, we have 10 of the biggest surprises in store for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses according to Reddit. We would be honored if you would join us. First things first, I want to give credit to the original poster Lucas on Reddit. I'll put a link to their original thread in the comments down below. In the meantime, however, let's review a few highlighted comments from the conversation. Our first comment is a simple but deep observation of the LGBTQ+ community.
Gay people are actually really epic and hot. Also, apparently there was rampant sexual abuse in the Jehovah's Witnesses was a surprise to me.
In Jehovah's Witness culture, homosexuality is seen as a sin. The society has published articles, chapters, magazines, and even created films, both live action and animated, to showcase their disdain. According to the Awake article titled, "What Does the Bible Say About Homosexuality?" Jehovah's Witnesses believe, quote, "This means that Jehovah's Witnesses reject all sexual misconduct, including homosexuality. So why they don't explicitly hate gay people, they hate any and every behavior that could be construed as gay." Ironically, a sexual relationship with a consenting adult of the same age seems to draw a little more scrutiny than a non-consenting contact between adults and children. And while publicly the organization has drawn a hard stance against that, several investigations have demonstrated otherwise. For example, in the 2023 Pennsylvania investigation, over a dozen alleged offenders have been arrested and charged to date, and as of this recording, that investigation is still ongoing. Quite the conundrum for those of us growing up in a modern spiritual paradise. Our next comment outlines the self-importance that the religion instills on its members.
Almost nobody in the outside world knows or cares about Jehovah's Witnesses. Their importance is confined to the inside walls of a kingdom hall, where they're told they're important and the outside world watches their every move. The outside world wishes Jehovah's Witnesses would take a hint and quick knocking on their doors. "I have magazines. I'm here to save you. I know you're home. I can hear you."
Jehovah's Witnesses are admonished to preach regularly. This includes door-to-door preaching, letter writing, and most recently, setting up cots in populated areas and running them like a kiosk. They believe that their work, according to the Christian Life and Ministry book, is a search and rescue work, and essential to their worship of the biblical God Yahweh, or Jehovah, to Jehovah's Witnesses. The March 1st, 2003 study edition of the Watchtower outlines why Jehovah's Witnesses think they're famous: the persecution complex. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that Satan is out to get them, and that the world is in his power. Therefore, not only does the world know them, but they're going to try and stop their righteous crusade. The same article says, quote, "But totalitarian rulers have little respect for the biblical requirement that Christians should be no part of the world." And while it is true that Jehovah's Witnesses are a religious group that has been abused and persecuted in many places, such as Eastern Europe, Africa, and Central America, many other countries such as Japan have very little contact with them and barely know they exist. So I can certainly see this as a shocker to anyone leaving the religion for the first time. Mortality is a struggle that everyone on the planet must face at one point or another, unless you're an active Jehovah's Witness, that is.
Confronting my own mortality, the Jehovah's Witnesses drilled it into my head real good that I'd never die. And I had to come to grips that barring some amazing advances in medical science in the next 40 to 50 years, I will one day cease to exist.
I don't think I need to explain this one. Every other publication and article Jehovah's Witnesses publish circles around this one tenet. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that they are destined to live forever in a paradise earth, that if they serve Jehovah God faithfully, they'll survive his day of Armageddon and gain everlasting life. No sickness, no aging, no disabilities, just perfect life. According to the 2018 Watchtower issue number 2, in the article titled "You Can Live Forever in Paradise," the quote from the Apostle Paul implies that everlasting life will be gifted by God. Early in the article, the Watchtower outlines that the Garden of Eden was God's original purpose for the earth, and he intends to restore that. So by putting these two tangentially related stories together, they come up with the Paradise Earth teaching. A teaching, I imagine, most biblical scholars disagree with, since it hasn't appeared in any other major scholarly publications, nor is accepted by many other religions. Finding close friends can be a struggle in any environment, but Jehovah's Witnesses have a way of expanding that to a different level.
Making friends outside of the cult takes effort. When you're no longer surrounded by people that appear to have the same ideology and personality as you, multiple times a week, you start to notice how isolated you and other Jehovah's Witnesses really were. On the outside, you actually have to put in effort and learn how to actually talk to people without a script to make meaningful friends.
We just did a Caleb and Sophia episode about this, so I'll link it below, but functionally the episode comes down to this: if they're not trying to be Jehovah's friend, they can't be mine. Meaning Jehovah's Witnesses seek out and build relationships only with other Jehovah's Witnesses, where the only real requirement for friendship is shared belief, which, according to their doctrine of bad association and Christian unity, means everyone who is following Jehovah's Witness practices is friendship material. This extends to romantic relationships too, as the Watchtower article, Watcher Association in These Last Days, warns witnesses only to marry within the religion, if for no other reason than the fact that this fellow witness partner will keep you loyal to God, whether they fulfill your romantic, intimate, or other needs, or not. On the subject of romance, our next comment addresses the tunnel vision that Jehovah's Witnesses have when it comes to not only love, but marriage.
When it came to dating and relationships, I didn't realize how crazy I was being. Ha 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 ha. Being taught my entire life the only reason for dating is to find a husband or wife, and only people who are ready for marriage date. So anytime a guy asked me out, I assumed he was ready to get married. I feel so bad for the first 2 dudes I dated after leaving that religion at 18. I was such a stage 5 clinger, ha 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 ha.
Jehovah's Witnesses are meant to see dating in a single way, pre-engagement. As outlined in the JW.org article, Am I Ready to Date?, Jehovah's Witnesses view dating as, quote, "Some people view dating as merely a social activity. In this article, however, dating refers to the period of time a couple spend together to see if they would be a suitable marriage mate for each other. So dating has an objective. It isn't just a way to enjoy attention from the opposite sex." And yes, while dating isn't just a social activity, it's not everyone's desire to marry or date long-term or just find a short-term hookup. In the real world, dating is exactly what you make of it. Some people date with a view towards marriage, others prefer the companionship that someone of the same or opposite sex offers, and there are many other configurations in between. Note that, as we outlined previously, Jehovah's Witnesses do not recognize homosexual unions as valued relationships. Instead, they view it as sexual immorality. Continuing our look at the community, this comment reminds us of how truly generic Jehovah's Witnesses are in these high-commitment Christian religions. Ex-Mormons, Seventh-day Adventists, and Pentecostals may get a laugh out of this too.
How similar they are to 1,000 other high-control groups. I was raised to think that we were other, unique and different than any other religion out there. The teachings aren't really that different, and they use the same cult playbook that everyone from the Moonies to Mormons, etc. use. They're all the same. I just watched How to Become a Cult Leader on Netflix, and this struck me all over again how really not different they are.
In a more global application of the no true Scotsman trope, Jehovah's Witnesses see themselves as the only true Christians. According to the March 1st, 2004 Watchtower article titled "True Christianity is Flourishing, Jehovah's Witnesses are the only ones doing the following things." Basing their beliefs on God's Word, the Bible, even though any other church could say that so long as they believe whatever holy book is given to them. Looking to God's kingdom for relief of the world's problems, Like, again, many churches and religions that are waiting for God to end a wicked world, like the Mormons or the Seventh-day Adventists who also believe in the last days before Christ's second coming. They honor God's name, like the Mormons will use the name Jehovah, or even the Pentecostals will use the name Yahweh, which is the scholarly agreed upon and better researched name of God, though Jehovah's Witnesses will put that name in publications on the subject from time to time. And of course, are united by love, like any other church can claim to be. Often, preaching is lumped into this, showing that they are the true disciples of Jesus. But again, remember that Mormons go on door-to-door missions for a mandatory 2 years full-time, whereas full-time ministry is on an as-able basis for Jehovah's Witnesses. Also, the Seventh-day Adventists have an optional door-to-door ministry. So yes, nothing terribly unique amongst the witnesses, but internally, that presentation of uniqueness prevents questions and strengthens the insular, persecution-powered narrative of the group. The family-centric Jehovah's Witness religion always seems nice on the outside, but this post is a good example of why they don't want those of us who have seen the truth on the inside getting back out.
Probably the guy holding a sign saying something to the effect of Jehovah's Witnesses break up families was actually right all along. I think I was maybe 12 or 14, and for some reason my grandmother said something about the apostates after we had walked by them. I said it was an obvious lie. Just look at all the families walking past him to enter the assembly. Then as I was waking up over 20 years later and realizing that I might lose my entire family, not because I had sinned or done something terrible, but just because I had stopped believing Watchtower's doctrine, it hit me all this time that guy was right, and I was so blind. There was also the time my grandmother asked if I was glad I had been born in, and I said I certainly was. I'd have never believed it otherwise, would probably be an atheist. Well, I could have saved a couple decades there too. Also that there are some very kind people out there, good people, and that sometimes religion is more of a burden, controlling and restricting people from being themselves, from showing unconditional love and doing what they think is right. If I were God, that would be a very serious sin.
This commenter is referring to the disfellowshipping doctrine. We've reviewed that on this channel before, but the short of it is if a Jehovah's Witness is thought to have committed serious sin against the congregation and isn't quite sorry enough, then they lose all connection to the community. No Jehovah's Witness is allowed to communicate with or spend time with them. The Watchtower believes that this action can bring people back to their senses, protect the good name of God, and keeps a Christian congregation clean, according to the article, Why Disfellowshipping is a Loving Provision. It's very easy to find studies to the contrary, such as Rosie Luther's own article, What Happens to Those Who Exit Jehovah's Witnesses, an investigation of the impact of shunning, where participants disclosed increased levels of fear, isolation, and decreased levels of money-saving and psychological treatment. I'll let you decide which of the publications has more basis in fact. Oh, I've got a funny one here, going into the top 3 of my favorite parts of this thread.
After a lifetime of being told the world is full of evil, sinful people, having drug-fueled orgies all the time, I spent a lot of time agonizing over how I would respond when Jehovah's spirit of protection had left me and I was invited to my first drug-fueled orgy. I've made a number of worldly friends over the years who I hang out with all the time and take vacations with, but they've never invited me to one of these events. Surprisingly, worldly people don't seem to be the drug-addicted heathens the Borg claimed. Most are kind and loving people, exactly like the witnesses claim to be, but without the judgment, hypocrisy, and bullshit.
This is long form for rejecting worldly thinking. According to the Watchtower article of the same name, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that humans making their own decision on what's ethical or not falls into rejecting God's thinking and is a fast track to being destroyed at Armageddon. They firmly believe that all people outside of the religion, worldly people as they say, are obsessed with money, sexuality, and fixing the world's problems, and all of those are equally bad, somehow. Whereas in reality, There are different people with different priorities in life. For the most part, people are just trying to get through the day and look forward to a brighter one tomorrow. And while Jehovah's Witnesses do strive to fight against negative traits, we've learned time and time again on this channel that the Watchtower is still home to some spousal abusers, child abusers, and adulterers on the inside, in some cases systemically. Almost to the end, here's the penultimate experience, and it's very relatable.
I didn't realize how deeply the organization had messed me up sexually. After I got married years ago, I found out you can't just shut off the shame and fear of sex they instill in you from you up once you go through the arbitrary ritual of walking down the aisle. So I struggled with intimacy for years, even though I loved my husband dearly. I had almost convinced myself I was somewhat asexual. But after I left and I started deconstructing a lot of things through learning and therapy, I actually started having an easier time with it, and let's just say this has been the best year of my marriage. My husband is still a Jehovah's Witness for now, but even he admitted he can't deny it because, well, he sees firsthand the transformation. I think it's another factor in his waking up journey, seeing how much I've had to heal from this religion in ways I didn't even think.
Okay, we've already discussed sexual immorality in dating. Purity culture is deeply ingrained in Jehovah's Witnesses. But in addition to the constant denigration of the world around Jehovah's Witnesses and their attitude towards intimacy, the Watchtower-sponsored Christian congregation demands that its members constantly control even the perfectly natural process of having the occasional sexual thought. The 1988 Kingdom Ministry article, Are You Practicing the Things You Have Learned?, points this out. Quote, disciplining of the mind is needed if we are to avoid unclean thinking habits or entertaining wrong sexual desires, which lead to mental and moral uncleanness. I'm no psychologist, but given how many of these comments I've seen agreeing with the sentiment and my own struggles in my long-term relationship with my spouse, I can say that Jehovah's Witnesses' view of sex and marriage was not only surprisingly wrong, but surprisingly useless. And finally, to end on a high note, we get a good idea of everything Jehovah is wrong about.
That the world is beautiful. Most people are beautiful. Stop dividing people into believers and non-believers. That we are personally responsible to make it more beautiful. That no one thinks much about Jehovah's Witnesses, let alone persecuting them. That it's good to celebrate events. That the Bible's command spread the good news isn't worth that much if not seen from the lens of Christianity. That it's nice to become wealthy as long as we keep a balance. That waiting for God's kingdom to fix things is stupid. Take care of yourself and your planet now. That it's okay to stop being a JW. The demons aren't that interested in what you do. It's great to have great sex.
We've reviewed most of the points made by our last commenter, but what strikes me the most is that every shot of paradise in Jehovah's Witness photos and videos has been taken on modern-day planet Earth. There is a remarkable amount of beauty, natural and occasionally man-made, to be had. There's kindness in people and safety and a bit of financial security. It's okay to have some dirty thoughts in a safe, consenting environment. There are good times to commemorate. Balance is its own reward, and it requires personal responsibility. In short, whether you believe that humans are self-actualized and sentient, or if you believe in an almighty deity either by himself or in a pantheon, gave us these faculties. Either way, use them. I considered mentioning one of my own, but I'm much more interested in what you, my XJW agents, have to say about what surprised you since leaving Jehovah's Witnesses, or if you've left another high-control group, religious or not. As always, your input is welcome in the comments section. We look forward to reading every experience we can. Remember, agents, the elders may be watching you, but Darth Magog is watching the Watchtower.